Firefly is getting her first rerun, and as many of you probably already know, when she released, she was one of the most broken units in the game, and frankly, she still is. Firefly is essentially a crutch to your account because every time you have a fight that just slightly inconveniences you or doesn't work out in your favor, you just slap a Firefly on your team and she ignores any mechanics that the enemy may have. Superbrick has been getting a lot of attention lately, and Firefly continues to be in the top 3 of DPS characters in our current meta. Should you get her? Most likely, but that depends on a few things. I really don't believe that Firefly will fall off just due to how Superbreak works and her ability to implant fire weakness onto anyone she wants, all while having amazing fire supports that are breakers as well. I think Firefly is an excellent choice for new players because early on, Superbreak was not in mine. Recently, I just did a playthrough with an E0S0 Firefly on a 4-star light cone with Harmony MC, and I blew through the story content no problem. I think she's a great pickup for newer players as her best teammate is Harmony MC, which is given out for free and is great at E0. With these two together, you'll be able to blow through any content in the early, mid, and even late game, especially since Firefly is just brain dead easy to play. You skill, ult, then you skill again up until your ult runs out. Rinse and repeat. Firefly is that easy to use and does an abysmal amount of damage. Now, Pyrokeep in HSR is pretty bad, but I think going into version 3, the top 3 archetypes will be Summon, Follow-Up Attack, and Break, with Firefly leading that charge. But we are about to get a whole new lineup of DPS/support units that HSR will cater to. That doesn't mean that Firefly is a bad choice. Frankly, she's so easy to build as you want 2 stats, Break Effect and Speed. Give her Harmony MC, who is free, and Ranmei, and she'll be absolutely phenomenal. Now, Lingsha just released a few patches ago, and for the people who actually pulled her, you know she's absolutely broken and worth it. But Firefly doesn't need Lingsha as Gallagher does a great job alongside her. Just let it be known that Gallagher and Lingsha are not on the same level as each other. Lingsha is absolutely crazy. Going back to Firefly though, she has many strengths and a few weaknesses that you can actually get past with her Eidolons, if you choose to get them. However, she's still busted at E0. First off, she has a skill point issue. She eats them up in her enhanced state, which can make your life a bit difficult. Thankfully, her teammates are relatively SP positive, but in case you do need to reskill, it may hurt. And for her other weakness, whenever she's out of her ult form. Now, she's typically out of her ult form for maybe 2 or 3 turns, depending on a few factors. And for these 2 to 3 turns, she's absolutely useless. But it's not often when you're out of her ult form for a prolonged amount of time, especially if you've given her enough speed, as she can usually clear any fight as long as it's not like the high-end modes in her first ult turn. She also drains HP when using her unenhanced skill, but will regain HP when she's enhanced. So you might need to be a bit careful, but it's really not that big of a deal. Now, you really don't need her Eidolons, but if you already have her and looking to see what's an upgrade for her, that being her E1 or her S1, I personally think that her E1 offers a fantastic quality of life experience, as when she's in her enhanced state, she will no longer consume a skill point. At E0, you're going to have about 3 to 4 turns in this state, meaning Firefly is really eating them up. Thus, E1 negates this as Firefly will only consume a skill point when she's not enhanced, which, as I said earlier, isn't often. While her S1 is a great stat stick that offers additional break damage, E1's quality of life is just very hard to ignore. Speaking of ignore, her E1 also gives her a 15% defense ignore. While it's not a huge amount, it's noticeable. It's also a stepping stone to her amazing E2, which whenever Firefly breaks an enemy or defeats them, she will immediately go again. This has a cooldown of 1 turn, but it provides so much more damage and allows her to stay in her combustion state for a lot longer. Do note that this is uninterruptible. After you break an enemy and her E2 activates, no other character on your team will be able to ult, so keep that in mind. Whereas normally when she's in her combustion state, you can ult with your allies. I think her E1 is a great stopping point unless you really want to go the extra mile and grab the E2. After that, nothing else is needed. It'd be best to invest in her supports like Ranmei E1, Lingsha E1, or even pick up some of their light cones. Speaking of light cones, a Fall of an Aeon is free from the herder store and is a great alternative to her signature, but also Indebitable Promise offers a nice boost to break effect. Now this is probably going to be the last time we'll see Firefly for a while if I had to guess. The latter half of version 2 was really dedicated to break, and with us about to shift to summons, break will be strong, but it obviously won't be the main focus of the meta, especially when we have Rappa who covers pure fiction very well, and we still have Boothill who is an excellent breaker. I'm sure Lingsha will also get a rerun, and Rame might take a bit longer. Overall, Firefly is a very easy to build unit, can fight 90% of the content with no issues, and her best in slot teammate is still free. While version 3 will most likely shift the entire meta, I have no doubt that Firefly will be a great addition to anyone's account. I know that we were teased with a bunch of the new version's characters, and they're all most likely going to be incredibly strong. So keep that in mind. That's all for me though. Let me know if you're planning on pulling for a Firefly or any of her eidolons or even her weapon. It is a very good option. I hope you win your 50/50s, and I'll see you in the next one.